Eric Bakker, the naturopath from New Zealand. Thank you for coming back to this channel. We're going to talk about low tyramine diet. So tyramine is a substance found in a lot of foods, particularly aged and matured foods, but also some fermented foods. So tyramine is generally not a problem for many people, but for some people it's a problem, and for some it's a real big problem, okay? Especially people, for example, who take MAO drugs, monoamine oxidase inhibitor drugs. And these can be used for depression, for example. They can be used for chemotherapy, like some people with Hodgkin's lymphoma may be taking the MAO drug. So MAO drugs, when you take them, I saw this particularly when I had patients. I had a few patients on an MAO inhibitor pharmaceutical drug for depression. So they can't break tyramine down when they're on this pharmaceutical, so they can get really sick. And for that reason, I created a handout to give to people on what a low tyramine diet is, okay, and to stick with it. So I'll go through that list with you now. I'm going to read out different foods. So pay particular attention if you're a person who wants to follow a low tyramine diet, because this is a pretty good one to follow, okay? So of course, as I mentioned, tyramine is found in a lot of aged things, so you have to avoid things like pickled meats like pepperoni, salami, bacon, smoked cured hams, all that kind of stuff. So that's not really good food to eat if you've got tyramine issues. Spoiled or improperly stored meat, poultry, fish, tempeh or fermented tofu products, soy cheese, these sorts of things, and just keep off them. Lots of cheeses, mature cheeses especially, camembert, Roquefort, Stilton, Parmesan, feta. Even aged feta and aged goat's cheese aren't really the best. Yakult, those little containers, Yakult, no good, high in tyramine. Unpasteurized milk, just be careful because it can contain tyramine. Even sourdough bread can have tyramine in it. Breads made with aged cheese or lots of yeast extracts. Watch out for yeast extracts. That's why beer, again, is a problem. Fermented or pickled foods, as I mentioned, sauerkraut, kimchi, but also if we look at different spreads, promide, varmide, Vegemite, any kind of yeast spreads aren't really good. Soy sauce, any kind of condiments containing soy, teriyaki sauce, hoisin sauce, any of those Asian kind of sauces, be careful. Fish sauce, miso. So when you go to an Asian shop, just be careful because a lot of foods there can be high in tyramine. But what do you substitute it with? Well, you need to eat fresh food, okay? Fresh food, fresh fish, things that you cook. So remember, improperly stored can increase tyramine levels as well. So you don't want to have something that's been in the fridge or freezer for several days when you eat it, okay? So freshly cooked eggs, freshly cooked beans, peas, lentils, poultry, fish. If you use a non-matured cheese, just be careful. I think the Edam cheese is quite a young one. It's not a matured one. So cream cheese or ricotta would be better than the aged or matured cheeses. Milk's generally fine, but just be careful of the unpasteurized because there might be some problems there. Yogurt's generally okay. All fresh and frozen canned fruits, vegetables, these are generally okay to eat. We just watch out for the fermented and pickled stuff like sauerkraut can be high in tyramine, for example. Most spreads and sauces seem to be fine apart from those yeasty ones. So there you have it. If you think about tyramine, a low tyramine diet, think about aged, matured kind of stuff, all right? And if you're on a MAO pharmaceutical, make sure you speak to your doctor or healthcare provider about going on a low tyramine diet because it does make a lot of sense. And that's it. Thanks for tuning in.